Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to AVX Live. I'm Joe Gilderson, president of Corporate Audio Visual Services. And for another week in a row, I am joined by my co-host, Mr. Ryan Finch.
That is a lie.
No?
We did not do the show last week. So it can't be in a row. It's not consecutive.
But you're the only one who knows that.
Now everyone else knows it too. There you go.
Okay. All right. There you go. All right. So you missed a week, I guess.
You did as well. So again, just as long as we're keeping score, because you seem very keen on making sure you tell everybody how many.
I do like to keep score. You know, I have been working on some new backgrounds for you, so I don't want to say that they could show up at any time, but
I knew they were going to.
I'm just saying though. But it's been a nice summer. It's been a hectic and a little bit hot. You know, at least in the Northeast. I can't speak to everywhere, but we're excited to be back. We missed a little week. We had to do some stuff, you know, but we have a great guest today, and we're going to have lots of fun, and we're very much looking forward to speaking with them. But Ryan, before we get started on that, do you think you can fulfill your role and responsibility?
I only have one job. I might as well. You can find us on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, live all the time. Not all the time. Wednesdays, specifically 1 p.m. Right? And while you're there, you can drop us a comment. You can be part of the show. We will answer your questions live. If you have a question for our wonderful guest, they can actually see your question pop up. So please take advantage. And while you're there, you should also share, like, subscribe, all of the above. Smash the subscribe button. There we go. I haven't said that one in a while.
You have.
That's a little different. Yeah. And then, of course, after the show, you will find little bite-sized pieces chopped up on Instagram and Facebook for your highlight moments. Joe, did I miss anything? I think that was it.
No, you got them all. I mean, you went right down that checklist. Boom, 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 boom.
I mean, I don't have the checklist. You have the banners. So, I mean, I'm just following you at this point.
I know. I mean, I have a little bit of control, but that's okay. I mean, it was almost like you went down the list of items that an auctioneer might go down. But I mean,
I see what you did there.
I don't want to dig in too far. Why don't we bring our guest on here? Let me tell you a little bit about who we're bringing on today. And we are going to be welcoming Bobby D. Ehlert, fundraising ambassador and event MC. Bobby uses his passion for world change and humanism in the nonprofit organization space by focusing his voice to educate, encourage, empower, and unite supporters. He works as an MC, a host, a mission promoter, speaker coach, board activator, and professional fundraiser for both virtual and live in-person events. Bobby focuses on making the experience of supporting an organization you believe in a memorable and successful one. Please welcome Bobby D. Ehlert.
Hey guys, thanks for that great intro.
Did you like the music? That's really the key. Did you like the music?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
This has been an ongoing debate as to whether or not we keep the music going. I say keep it. I think it adds energy, and so I got the control. I'm not turning it off. That's it. Hope you like it.
Love it.
Well, it's good to have you, Bobby.
It's good to see you both. It's been a minute, huh?
It certainly has. It certainly has. It feels like the world was in a completely different place the last time we saw you, but I think probably trending in the right direction, right?
Yeah, it feels like it. You know, people are out and about. They're wanting to gather. They're wanting to do some cool things. So that's feels good for our industry. I mean, this is the first virtual, I guess, event you could say that I've done in 3 months. So yeah, it's feeling good.
Since we're on the virtual topic, I have a very important question. Did you purposely match your shirt to the coffee maker in the background?
That's just that was coincidence.
Happy accident.
I mean, I do have I do have a ton of pink shirts. It's kind of part of my brand, and yeah, we do have the pink coffee maker that's there, which is got a little coffee in there. I might have a little afternoon pick me up.
There you go. That's pretty cool. I mean, all the in the beginning, right? We're all very concerned about what lived in this space before, right? And now that we've gone back to in person, it's kind of like you're just jumping on, and everybody's running on to their meetings, and they kind of forgot about that whole thing that we spent those 2 years working on.
Oh yeah, totally. I'm in the midst of a basement remodel. So we had a full professional studio. We had 5 lights, boom mics, big giant green screen and everything, because we were doing, virtual events from our studio, also known as our basement. So now we're completely remodeling that, and I am in my kitchen, and this is my backdrop.
Love it.
The natural settings, they do work. That's
right.
We're keeping it real. That's all. We're just trying to keep it real for people. So listen, Bobby, why don't you tell everybody about Call to Auction and Inspire Hearts fundraising? I think that's a great place for us to start.
Okay. Well, I got to add one more name to that. Star Benefit Auctions. I kind of married into that. My wife is an auctioneer. My mother-in-law is an auctioneer. My mom is an auctioneer. My dad is an auctioneer. My 2 brothers are auctioneers, and our youngest son is probably going to be an auctioneer. The other 3 boys that we have, they're all nerds, and they're going to build awesome things in technology, and they're going to take care of us. The ones that make money using our mouth. So
wow, it's a family business, huh?
It is a family business. That's really how I got into it. Was going to college. I never really wanted to be an auctioneer, but I had to pay for tuition and my apartment and all those things. I mean, back in the day, you could pay tuition with a part-time job salary, but got to the point where I needed to make some more money, and desperate times call for desperate measures. And my stepfather is an auctioneer for as long as I lived, and he said, "Hey, why don't you come down to the auto auction, be my apprentice, work with me?" And he's like, "I think you'd be good with this. You got some personality." And first auction I did, I was like, "Wow, this is really fun." And then I had been doing auto auctions for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, and you always get asked by nonprofits to help, whether it's a golf tournament, or a bake sale or a giant gala. And I started doing these events. I was like, wow, this is really, really, really fun. I was like, I wonder if there's a way that I can make a living doing this. And I went on the internet, and I guess you could say I found my people. There's a giant group of benefit auctioneer specialists that do exist in the world. I think there's maybe 50 that make their living full time in fundraising across the nation, and I'm lucky to be one of those 50 that do that. I mean, there's a lot of people that do it part time, but so I was like, all right, I'm going to do this. So then in 2015, I built the brand Call to Auction, because auction is action with you in it.
Hey, okay.
Wow. Man, that one landed.
In his script, it was pause for effect, and I'm like, the light went on. There it is. Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
So,
nice.
So we did that. We started helping nonprofits, doing their auctions, being, a live auctioneer, bringing in professional auctioneers, really upping the ante. You really, with that experience there, because there is so many celebrities and funny uncles and board members that think they can do it. They're like, I saw that on the internet once, I can do that. And they do it, and then it just sucks. So we were like, all right, let's get in there. Let's bring the professionalism into it and really make this happen. So then fast forward about 3, 4, 5 years, I went through a change of relationship status. I got divorced, and I was at a conference, and I met this other amazing auctioneer, and her name's Erin Ward, and we hit it off. We're like, you know what? We are twins, twin stars flying through the universe, and we collided for a reason. And we actually just got married last year.
Hey, congratulations.
Thank you. And she was kind of my mirror on the East Coast here in New York, where I was on the West Coast in Phoenix, Arizona, and she started a fundraising business in like 2010, I think, and was like, hey, this is what we're going to do. So we combined our minds and our hearts together, and we had birthed the Inspire Hearts fundraising brand. And we are unique auctioneers, I guess you could say. She is generational as well. Her mother is an auctioneer, a champion auctioneer, and her grandpa was the first auctioneer in the line there. And we were like, wait a minute, there's something more to these events than just auctions. There's something that's in this room that we need to really tap into. And it's like, because auctions, you might have 3, 5, 10 live auction items, and then everybody has the silent auction, or they used to, and people buy stuff. It's transactional giving. So we're looking at this as like, how do we involve the entire audience? How can we help 100% of this crowd that wants to give something? And we really had kind of pioneered and developed what we call the paddle raise, or the fund to need, or the cash call. I mean, you've seen a bunch of those events at the galas, right?
Sure.
We've seen many.
Yeah. So we're the only auctioneers in the nation that are asking nonprofits if they really need an auction. And a lot of times, especially in the city, New York City, they are looking for more condensed events, and they're looking to maximize that time and maximize that experience and really include everyone that's in the audience. And that's the way we do it. We give everyone a number or a paddle, and we say, friends, who wants to give it to $10,000 level? Raise your paddle. Thank you. Who wants to give 1,500, 250? And then our goal at the end of the night is to get 100% participation. So we're like, we need to do this. We need to help nonprofits do this. We've done tons of education. We've done tons of seminars and different things in looking at how the event is such a vital key to the year-round fundraising strategy for nonprofits. So that's where we came up with Inspire Hearts Fundraising, and we're diving deep. And there it is, inspireheartsfundraising.com. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Oh, that's great. Well, look, first off, kudos to you for making your side hustle your full-time gig, right?
Yeah.
Because that's a hard thing to do just by itself.
Yep.
But when you find the thing that you're passionate about, and clearly there's a lot of passion surrounding you in that as well. Yeah. So, certainly something I'm sure it was easy to kind of really dig into. Now, I have to ask, and maybe there's a no answer to this, but with so many auctioneers in your household, in your family, do auctions make their way into your family life? Are you auctioning off chores on the weekends? Like, all right, who wants garbage duty? That was a terrible joke. I'm sorry, but I had to ask.
No, everybody asks it all the time. I mean, we're actually on TikTok, hashtag couple of auctioneers. You can find us, and we show what it kind of looks like, at Thanksgiving dinner, at Christmas dinner. And it's really loud. I mean, there's a lot of type A personalities that are in there. So, we're always there talking, and we're like, hey, pass the mashed potatoes, gravy. I need some turkey. Who wants it? It's kind of going like that. And then there's other times where it's like, we don't want to talk at all. Like, we have expelled all of our energy, and we're like, no, we're just going to have silence here today.
Fair.
So we let the kids do the talking.
Fair. Well, I am glad, Joe, you got to put that on a banner. Hashtag a couple of auctioneers.
I didn't want to spell it wrong. Otherwise,
a couple of auctioneers. That's what we are.
I didn't know where to go.
So.
I'm sorry, Joe. Which word were you worried about spelling?
I didn't know if it was going to be, like two or this, or it's just Bobby, fine. I get a hard time about this every time I type something up really fast. And he goes, well, you didn't put the capital.
That's my only job
Bobby,
is I have to prod him. I don't have any other job.
Sometimes it slows me down a little bit, but that's okay. We'll get it right. We'll get it on there.
Nice.
But to get into having all the family involved in auctioning, is that just you go and you watch people do it? Do you have to go to a class for that? You have so many people that do it. So does
all
it just show up?
Yeah. And back in the day, that's what it was. Like, Aaron's mother, learned from her father and was there at the auctions watching that. And then eventually goes to auction school, and there is truly an auction school. There's many different auction colleges that are around the nation. I used to be an instructor at the Western College of Auctioneering up in Montana, and it's a 10-day course. You go in, they teach you everything about auctions. The best things in the world are sold at auction: airplanes, automobiles, artwork. The stock market's an auction. So they teach you how to run an auction and have an auction company, but they also teach you about the auctioneer chant. That's kind of the trademark of all auctioneers. So they give you the, kind of the basics of here, this is how you develop your chant. And just like anything else, it's all reps, it's practice, it's, having opportunities to be behind a microphone and really get it out there and try to visit as many auctions as you can and watch different auctioneers and watch every YouTube video you can. And sometimes people want to work with a mentor or a coach like me. I am an auctioneer coach, and I help them to develop that chance. So that's kind of how you end up in it. And, in my case and Aaron's case, it's nepotism. And we definitely had a lot of help along the way, but now we're out in the world looking for talent, and we're cultivating talent for new auctioneers that are out there, because there's only one of me and there's only one of her. But in October 1st, how many galas are going to be happening in New York City?
A lot.
100? How many are happening across the nation?
Right.
Maybe thousands. And there's 50 dedicated fundraising auctioneers that are out there. Who else is doing the rest of them? So we need more people. So if you want to become an auctioneer, send me a message. I'll help you with that.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
Oh, that's great.
Awesome.
Well, look, I have 2 follow-up questions for you, and you can answer them in any order. But maybe they go together. I don't know. How important, or is it important, is a level of personal branding to what you do? Like, how much of your own personal unique flavor do you have to have as an auctioneer, or do you not need to have your own personal flavor? And the second part of that question is, depending on which type of group that you're serving, I'd imagine that working an auto show and an auto auction is much different than working and serving for a nonprofit. So, yep. Do those 2 things come into play together? Again, 2-part question.
All right. Well, I'll answer question 2 first.
Fair.
Now we, as our different companies, and Aaron and I, as consummate professionals, we're always trying to match the right individual, the right personality to the right organization. Because Aaron does the Girls Inc. New York City event every year and has for the last 5 years. And you need a powerful woman entrepreneur on stage to really inspire that audience to raise their paddles. Now, if they put me up there, they're like, wait a minute, something's not connecting here. Right. And it's trying to find the right, spokesperson, the representative of that organization. So it's very important to look and find out, who your auctioneer is. I mean, there's some events that we've been doing where it is very, diverse in the audience, and they hire a cowboy from Texas to come up into New York City, and they're kind of like, you're not from around here, are you? So it's matching your own affinity and your own passions to the nonprofits that we love to help. I love helping animal groups. I love helping children's groups, private schools, different areas like that, and to help them raise money. Because I speak that language, and you need to find someone that speaks that language. Right. Erin is a women's study major, so any women's empowerment group, any equality group, she's really works really well with them. So it's finding those different groups that are there, and then it's taking that our own passions and our own personalities, and not being afraid to really put it out there. Because when we're at an auction and at a fundraiser, at a gala, I mean, we are the people holding the microphone on stage, and we are capturing that attention, and we need to be our purest selves. We need to be as authentic and as real with the audience. Because if you're reading a script, or you've never done this, or any uncomfortability with it, I mean, you've seen this happen where the audience is kind of like, oh, that's really weird. And then they start to feel weird. And then now the whole experience just shuts down. But when we're confident, and we're, engaging with that audience, and helping people to have fun, and we're motivating them to raise their paddle, it really, stands out. Now, in that case, at galas, I mean, it's hundreds, sometimes thousands of individuals that are there that see me on stage. And that's an audition for everyone that's out there, because many times, I mean, I'd say most of our work and our gigs come from referrals, or from people that saw us at events. They're like, wow, you're amazing, give us your card. And they need to remember who we are. Me, right. I'm Bobby D. I got the pink shirt, I got the bow tie. Well, not today, but they'll remember that. And then, right. They take that out, they tell their friends. They're like, yeah, Bobby D's the best auctioneer in the world. You got to hire him. And so, yes, personal branding is very, very important with that. And if you Google Bobby D auctioneer, there's only one, and that's me.
Amen. There you go. Well, and that all makes sense. And before we move on to another question, I got to ask this one from the audience. What keeps an auctioneer up at night the night before an event?
That is a great question, Marissa. I am very, very focused on the mission of the organization. So it's really, making sure that I'm talking about those impact points, talking about, their mission wording, making sure that I'm able to really, fit myself within and speak their language is what we're really, striving in to do, and making sure that I get enough sleep, that when I'm ready to go at their event, I'm in top peak performance condition and ready to go. So I definitely try to get as much sleep as possible, but it's making sure that we're representing the nonprofit as best as possible. And we do a ton of consulting with nonprofits. So it's, timeline, it's board engagement, it's audience development, it's the actual items themselves. We help them to identify what they are. And then the storytelling, making sure that storytelling of the event, because every event is a story, to making sure that entire story is really told as effectively as possible and inspires as many as possible, so that we can raise as much money as possible.
You know, that makes 100% sense, because I've seen people prepping, obviously, because we're backstage, so we see the prep work that goes into it. And I got to tell you, I've seen some really bad auctions over the course of time. They're never by professional auctioneers.
Right.
They're always the funny uncle or whatever you said.
The funny uncle.
And the celebrities
my
I've
God.
seen have been so disconnected from the cause that it's like somebody just gave you 4-day-old toast and you're like, this has got to stop.
I call it the record scratch. And
bad.
a lot of times it happens. And I mean, you see it as event professionals. You're like, oh my God, did they just say that? And the whole audience shuts down. Like they will turn their backs on the auctioneer and they lost them. But when you find someone that actually knows what they're doing and is really experienced within
That's fun, then.
I mean, it's like going to a rock concert. Like someone's just like so excited to be at that event together, and that energy and that electricity of humans being around humans just builds and builds and builds. And that's where amazing things happen at events all the time. And I love it.
No, and that, because then you feel the excitement. I mean, really, you do. You're part of it. The audience is part of it. Like everybody's in it.
Yes.
They're all going the same direction. You know, it's like that's what you want.
So, and we try to put that spotlight on the audience, put that spotlight on the mission. It's not about us. It's about them. We're just facilitators within that experience.
Now, were you a performer or as a child or anything like that? I mean, it seems like maybe there was a past here.
I always wanted to be on the radio, and I'm kind of on the radio now. I got into auctions. I'm like, hey, that feels the same. I got to be funny. I got to be entertaining. I got to be real. I got to be able to, have a conversation with people. And I have a goal of mine, and I'm throwing it out there in the universe. I want to go to Carnegie Hall and be on the stage at some time doing an auction. I was just at Carnegie Hall this in July. We had a client that performed there, and I'm like, all right, I made it to Carnegie Hall, but now I'm like, I want to be on that stage. And it's pretty cool being on some giant stages and being able to be that and be a performer. Cause I look back, I'm like, I probably should have been an actor. I probably should have been in theater, but I didn't.
Well, that's okay. You're helping people every day.
Yeah. Well, I like that.
That's what it's
putting
all
it out
about.
to the universe. Joe, do you know how to get to Carnegie Hall?
Bobby, I got a better
Practice.
question for you.
Thank
I got
you,
a better
Ryan.
question for you. Hey, Ryan, could you solo me for 1 second?
Oh, no.
Could you? I mean, because I am curious if this guy is looking for a side hustle.
Jeez.
I mean, that's all I'm
He was
saying.
prepping this photo earlier. I knew it was going to show up eventually.
I mean, he was asking you about the branding. I didn't know.
Hey,
I just didn't know.
That's my personal brand, is awkward faces and, body contortions.
and beer tasting.
And beer. Well, that one is my personal brand. Everybody in my office knows that one.
Well, I don't want to get too far off track, but now I know you've been doing this for forever. The whole family's in it. What happened then? How did the pandemic change everything for you right then? How did technology become a different part of your life then?
Oh my gosh. I remember, March 17th, we, got the word. I had an event that night or the night before, and then the next morning it all shut down. And we were looking at 2020 to be a record-breaking year for our companies. I mean, we had 100 gigs booked, and we were so excited. We're like, this is going to be the best year ever. And wah, wah, wah. Nope, you can't gather anymore. And we were really the first to be closed down. Events were the first to be closed down and have been the last to open up. So once we came out of our depressive fog and we're like, okay, we have to do something. And we were part of the conversation. Okay, we can, do virtual events, and let's figure it out. And I've always been like a tech geek, like you guys. I mean, cameras and lights and microphones and computers and tech, all that stuff. I'm like, okay, I can do this. Let's set up the studio and let's dive in. Let's teach nonprofits how to do this and apply the same, philosophies and ideas that was with live event fundraising, and just bring it to the virtual screen. And I mean, we're having an event right now. There's people that are interacting with us, that are watching. Hi, people. And we're having an event, and it's just allowing or creating that experience. We loved it at the time because we were still able to help our clients. But now if I don't do another virtual event, I'm okay with that. I like being in front of people.
Fair. Okay, so that part is over for you now. Is that the idea? Well, God willing, right?
I can't say it's 100% over. I did host a couple virtual events this past summer, or kind of right in May. I was actually I did a virtual event 3 times in a row because we broadcasted to Japan, we broadcasted to Germany, and then we were in New York City. And there's no other way that I could have done that. I couldn't have flew from Japan to Germany and New York City in one day, but I was able to do that, through my camera. And then I also have some clients again back in Arizona, and they were like, Bobby, we need you. We have supporters from around the nation. Let's do a virtual event. I'm like, okay, we can do this. We've got it. I mean, we have the know-how, we have the technology now, and it's all there. So, if somebody wants it, we can do it. Yeah, it's hard to match that same energy with a virtual audience as a live audience. I will say this though, there's one caveat: unless you're Tony Robbins, that dude, it's
amazing, absolutely amazing.
He took virtual events to the next level.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. It's a totally different experience, but they've got all the soundtracks and everything they're playing behind.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I got
because how else do you keep yourself that excited?
Yeah.
But no, I've seen you both in person, online. It's look, it's a different experience. I don't see how anybody can compare the two, but you can reach a bigger audience. There's no question.
Yeah.
And there's something about the online part that I don't know. There's parts of it I really like. It's just
I think
you don't have the energy. You don't have the energy.
No, that part's missing. Joe likes the fact that he has to leave his house less. I think that might be the part.
Yeah, that
missing.
part's pretty good.
I will say the commute was the shortest we'd ever had. It was 15 stairs, and as soon as we're done, it was 15 stairs back upstairs, and we had a beverage and dinner waiting for us. So that wasn't so bad.
No, that part was okay, right? You're not waiting for the valet and the parking and the 2 hours. That part's not bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was the high fives and the hugs and the handshakes what we really missed, because we were done with a virtual event and we'd push end, and then we're like,
there's nobody.
You okay?
There's nobody there.
Was it all right? How would we? And we wouldn't hear anything from the client for like 2 days. We're like, hope that went well. So yeah.
Well, I mean, I know now most of, at least what we're seeing, because we probably do about 150 nonprofit fundraisers in a year. It's always been a core part of our business.
Nice.
So we have a general sense of how it flows. We could probably write out the scripts of most of them in a broad sense very quickly.
Yeah.
But now that people are back in person, I mean, are there other things as virtual starts to fade away? Are there other services that you guys tend to help people with?
Well, it comes down to that experience, and I know experience is really, really paramount, for you. And we're getting feedback constantly from donors, from board members, from nonprofit executives, and what we're hearing is expectations have really changed. That because with a virtual experience, the production value went way up. Now the old rubber chicken dinner, people aren't having that anymore. The 3-hour-long programs, are no longer desired anymore. I mean, they're still happening, but they don't want that. I mean, the attention span has really shrunk. Events are starting to shrink. Programs are starting to shrink. People want to rub elbows. They want to network. They want to mingle. They want to be a part of that. So we're directing our nonprofits to create a 45-minute program, and that includes everything. That's the awards. That's the welcome. That's the thank you. That's the auction. That's the paddle raise. That's the video. That's the storytelling. That's everything within 45, maybe 55 minutes, depending. But it's really about the donor that night. I mean, that's the key to donor-centric fundraising is really give the donor what they want. And if they want to mingle, if they want to hang out with their community, they want to make new friends, let's let them do that. Because if we give them what they want, they're going to give us what we want, which is money to help fund the mission.
Absolutely. Well, no, and you're spot on with that. We've certainly seen a lot of the same in terms of condensing, right? Everything kind of having to fit that format. Yeah. And a lot of the time that is specifically catered towards, at least for where we're coming from, is specifically catered towards the people who want to see what's going on from home, but they're not going to sit there while you're eating dinner and then come back when they're done, right? So so a lot of that is geared toward them. One thing that I have to ask, I mean, we have a particular opinion on it, but I'm wondering if it's come up for you where we have a hybrid audience, right? And they want to participate too. Have you had any good experiences with that? Because we found it to be challenging with the technology side, just given some latency issues. But I mean, have you had good experiences in this new post-pandemic world?
There's really only been a couple events where we've had a very active hybrid audience, and it's organizations that have done really good job of cultivating their millennial donors, people that are on the phones, you know, people that are, you know, they're like, you know, they're the influencers. They're the ones that are, you know, constantly social media and putting content out there and interacting, you know, virtually. And many times it's these, you know, it's these younger donors, this younger demographic. They want to be a part of, you know, the organization. And many times there's micro donations. I mean, now millennials, Gen Z. I mean, what's the next one?
I didn't even know if there wasn't. Are we naming
there is
the
a,
next one?
But it's coming up.
Oh, there's a name. There's a
yeah, there's a but it's like our age kids, you know, this is like their normal. I mean, I hate to be the old guy of the group, but I remember when the Macintosh came out and I was like, that's okay, yeah, let's do that. That's cool. But it's so the events that worked were the ones that really truly embraced that demographic, and they gave them all the tools. They let, you know, there was a live Twitter board that was up there. Comments were coming in, chat was coming in. People in the audience were interacting with people that were at home. We did the fundraising, and we had an auction with bidders that were at home and people that were giving at home, as well as those in the audience. But it's few and far between. And that's the conversations that we're having with nonprofits to help them. Okay, is a hybrid, is it the right thing for you? Many times they're, again, shrinking the audience as well. And they're like, let's make this a very VIP, very exclusive experience for many of our high level donors. And it's been working really well. And they have been doing virtual events where they're trying to, open it. They're doing Twitch streams and different things to bring people in.
Right.
And then, just like anything, let's be very, it's called audience development. Let's put the right people in the room at the right time, say the right things, and make the right ask. And then that's where that magic happens.
Those are great points, Bobby. I mean, knowing your audience, obviously, in any communication field is paramount.
Yeah.
But in this case, really knowing your donor audience and the we'll call it capacity for understanding for technology, right?
Nice.
We can call it what it is and say it's there in the younger generation and it's less there and sometimes non-existent in the older ones, and so catering to that, right? So that actually makes a lot of sense. And then, of course, reaching your audience where they are. We did actually get an answer here, so thank you, Marissa. Generation Alpha starts with children born in 2012 and will continue at least to 2025. Oh,
wow.
Man.
Wow. See, yeah, look at that number. 48 million people that are out there in the world in that generation. And that there's this transference of wealth that's happening. It's like $3 trillion that's going to drop down from the baby boomers to the X's and the Y's and the Z's and the millennials. Yeah. And then it's going to go from our generation into our kids. And it's, it's how do we take that transference of wealth and do some really good things with it. And that's what's beautiful about nonprofits is they're the ones that are in the trenches that are providing these solutions to these huge gaps in services and things that are out there. So it's pretty amazing to see what we can do with that transference of wealth.
The whole micro donation thing is really curious to me because I hadn't considered that from this side, from the event side.
Right.
But that certainly is the trend in everything else. From a millennial perspective. Could you clarify that for me?
A micro donation. I think I have an idea.
Right. So in the case of a virtual world, a micro donation is like $2, $5. Charity water, I think it's like $12 or something, and you can help provide something. I think Tony Robbins he does the Feed America program, and that's $5 a meal, and he's trying to fund a billion meals, and they're offering this opportunity for individuals to be involved at a very micro level. Now in the fundraising world, there's this development ladder where a person makes the decision where okay, I'm going to watch this. Okay, I'm going to interact with this. All right, I'm going to make a donation. Now, as soon as they click that donate button, whether it's $1 or $1,000,000, they're now a donor. And now they are, interacting with the nonprofit, and then giving the nonprofit that permission to engage them, to say thank you, to show them, where their gift is going. This is the impact that your $5 is having. I mean, you provided a meal for someone that didn't know that they were going to have a meal. And with, effective fundraising, techniques, maybe that individual who makes a donation at age 12, like, our boys donated to the World Wildlife Fund, and they got a stuffed tiger, and they were like, oh, this is great. Now they love the World Wildlife Fund. Who knows, maybe someday they'll be, millionaires, billionaires, and they want to help animals. And because they made that micro donation to the World Wildlife Foundation, they are connected there forever. And they're like, yes, we want to be a part of this. We want to be a part and create some drastic change within that. So yeah, micro donations and having that opportunity wherever you're fundraising is so key.
That's super interesting. It's kind of like we're crowdsourcing, right? Like
we're
crowdsourcing 100%. Fundraising, which then, inevitably, as far as the role of the auctioneer, I mean, you become more of a brand ambassador first and foremost, right? Yeah. That's super interesting. I'd never considered that. I'm not just faking it. I'd never really considered that before.
It is interesting,
Yeah. Well, and then it's a numbers game too at that point. You're just trying to cast the widest net you can.
Absolutely.
It's a recurring theme.
And that's why Aaron and I developed the Inspire Hearts fundraising model, where we are there to inspire hearts and motivate every person in the audience to take action, to take that card to make a gift, to get on their phone and make a gift. We want 100% of that audience to be a part of this giving community that's there. And at an event, let's say there's 400 people there. We do it's fun. We do this thing called the family photo, in which at the beginning of the event we have everybody hold up their card. We take a photo. It's the best social media photo ever. And then at the end of the night, we're like, okay, friends, this is the final level of donation. This is the $100 level. Now remember, when everybody held up their cards, well, friends, if everybody just made one more donation of $100, we could raise $40,000, and $40,000 helps us to do this. So let's be a part of this. Let's be a part of this avalanche of giving, and that's that's a good example of in-person micro donations happening. And once that momentum gets built, it's amazing.
Well, I think that's a great lead-in for us, honestly, because kind of the next thing in my head is, what do you think is going to happen in the fall? What do you think is going to happen in the spring? I mean, this is when everything books up.
Right.
I mean, what do you think? The micro donation thing, very, very interesting, because it's such a different thought.
Yeah.
You know, especially from the VIP exclusive.
Right, yeah.
Look, I know that the top 100 donors really give us, most of our fundraising dollars for the year. But what if we could reach this entirely different, group like that? That's really interesting. But what do you think the fall is going to look like in the spring of 2023?
Well, as we're consulting with our clients that are having fall events, it is really again condensing that program into as powerful and as motivating as possible, and in a short amount of time. So we're shrinking the events, we're shrinking the timeline. So that's something that we're seeing. We're also seeing, again, events be smaller, less people, and because every seat in that room, in that ballroom, in wherever the event is, has a dollar figure on it, and they want to make sure that they're raising as much money as possible. And many times there's people that are seat fillers, and they're just eating food and drinking drinks, and they're not participating in the fundraising. So a nonprofit can actually save a lot of money by shrinking their audience, getting the right people in the room, and we've already had that conversation. So we're seeing a lot of that happening. We're seeing silent auctions disappear. And we're seeing live auctions disappear as well, too, or it's becoming a very strategic, curated live auction for some type of experience you can't find anywhere else. It might be dinner with the, CEO of corporate AV, and then you can have dinner with them, and with Ryan, who's the best beer taster in the world. And that's the type of experience you can't find anywhere else except at the event.
Oh,
yeah. You can only buy it on that night. So because, again, people have enough stuff, right? And we learned this through pandemic. If you want it, you can have it there tomorrow. Hit that Amazon button and it'll be there. So, the silent auctions, people are looking at these things, and we call it transactional giving. It's giving to get something. That's a transaction. Transactional givers are very unlikely to become, again, return givers. Whereas you have philanthropic transactions, you have philanthropic relational donations happening, whether that's that paddle raise, that's that making that pure 100% tax deductible donation. And those types of individuals, those types of donors are the ones that are pushing the nonprofits mission forward. They're the ones that are making that dramatic change to their missions. And that's the twist that we're seeing, where it was, give me the basket full of whatever. People are like, I don't really need that. I want this organization to do something amazing with my money. So here, just take my money and give me that good feeling.
Wow. Yeah, well, look, I mean, again, these are things I had not considered before, frankly, as far as the change in approaches to fundraising and the ideology behind them. It's interesting, too, because a lot of your framework and the way you're describing it is almost like how people would speak about in marketing terms, right? Like they speak about their target, their digital audience, their target market, and you're segmenting and you're curating. And I'd have to imagine that, I mean, how much of your work as far as, the organizations that you run, how much of your work is like purely consulting from a fundraising standpoint? I mean, is that a big part, or?
It's 98% of our time spent with nonprofits is consulting, is on meetings, working with the board, working with the leadership, helping tell that story, timeline, auction items, marketing, all of those things that we're really helping to maximize this 120 minutes that a nonprofit has. And yes, because they're a nonprofit, they're not in business to make a profit. They're in business to change the world. But there's still a business, and it's all the same strategies into building a great business that apply for a for-profit business apply as much, if not more, to a nonprofit, because everybody's fighting for that same dollar. Whether you're going to give the dollar to Coca-Cola, or Nintendo or whatever, those nonprofits, they're Make-A-Wish is fighting for that same dollar, and it's the organization, nonprofit or for profit, that touches the heart of the person that has that dollar to spend. It's like, here, I'm going to give it to help fund a wish, or I'm going to give it and drink a bottle of Coca-Cola. And it's like, what's that?
So. Gen Z, not big on Coca-Cola, I don't think. There's a lot of sugar in it, so I'm with you on that.
Oh man, this is really going off the rails somewhat.
It's not off the rails. It's a high-level fundraising marketing conversation, and I'm here for it. Yes, and I'm here for it. That's a term.
Very interesting, because I think everybody thinks of auctioning as only that night on that stage, and someone talking really fast trying to take your money. Right. But that's not really most of your time, and that's what's really interesting.
I mean, it's the most fun part, but
but telling the story and getting that message right with leadership is ultimately the most important thing.
Yeah,
or that stuff doesn't matter.
It's how much time you all put behind the scenes, of events that you're, curating and you're creating and you're supporting. It's hours and hours and, thousands of dollars of technology and personnel and all of that. And then, we get to have the fun and set up all the things and make sure that this experience is great. And then it takes hours to take it all down, right?
Right.
Yes, there's a lot of that. There's no question.
Yes.
We're very much build the house, now take it down. But it's okay. We signed up for that. It's all right. Yeah. But no, this is really great. I think you've given everybody a ton of information today. And
I could talk about this for days.
Well, you come from a long line of fire.
You can't get away from it, man.
Oh, I love it. I love it so much. And I'm excited for the season, coming up. And I know nonprofits are getting out there. They're, donors have set the expectations higher. So these nonprofits have to deliver. They have to, bring in professional MCs, fundraisers, consultants, AV teams, because what used to work before, we've never been through this before, so we know it's might not work again. So let's look at it bigger, and let's look at it better, and raise more money.
I think you're 100% that it's got to be better.
Yes.
That's what I think everybody. We're coming out of the pandemic side, out of the virtual side, really more. It's like you got to entertain them, man. Like we've been banging videos over like every 3 seconds here. You can't just sit in that ballroom now. For 5 hours? No way, man. No way. That, you can't do that. You got to really think this through. And so I'm glad that there's, a couple of people out there that are really helping them think it through. Right.
Yep. It's a lot of times it's like, hey, we're just going to throw this big party and invite all our friends and we're going to raise some money. But then there's the smart organizations that are like, no, this is our Super Bowl. We need to spend a lot of time, energy, and invest some money into this so we can see a huge ROI on that time and on that money.
No, it's very well said. Well, look, we don't want to tie you up too much, Bobby. I know you gotta redo that basement. You know, you got to prep for September. I mean, there's a lot going on over there. There is. But we really do appreciate your time. I mean, your tips have been great. And I know we're going to be passing along to everybody. So we're sending them over to inspireheartsfundraising.com, right?
Yep, that's right.
All right. Yeah. That is a good thing. That's where we're going to send people.
All right. Well, I want to thank you both so much for not only putting on, this great, live cast, but also being the professionals behind the scenes, because you are all the unsung heroes, the ones that make sure we sound good and we look good. And I mean, we could never do it without you. So I have to say thank you to all of my event professionals. You guys are all awesome. So thank you for helping us on the stage to have as much fun as we can.
Oh, well, thank you very much. It's nice to be appreciated. There we are.
Thank you very much. We do appreciate that. Well, listen, Bobby, thank you again. We're going to be talking to you soon. And everybody go check out inspireheartsfundraising.com. We'll put that link in the comments in the chat afterwards as well. Bobby, we'll talk soon.
All right. Thank you. Everyone go make an impact in the world and be awesome.
Thanks.
Now, see, Finch, how come you don't have a closing message like that? That was right on point.
You have a closing message.
I got a closing message. You don't have Jack, dude.
I have Bubkus. That's what I have.
Well, listen, this is, I think we really got a lot out of today, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
I really like the points that Bobby brought up about giving the donors what they want.
Right.
I think he's right on point with the shorter programs. Really hard to have people come out of the last couple of years and then just sit them there for hours and hours on end. Like, we got to get their attention quick. Let's get the message across. And I think he's right on point. I also really liked what he was talking about with audience development. It's very smart. Let's get the right people. Let's curate the list, just like you're curating. You mentioned the live auction list too. Maybe the items themselves are actually more curated. And I think that's really smart. Like, these are great tips for people.
Right.
And I know a lot of our clients would really benefit from that advice. So I think we did pretty good today. I mean,
well, absolutely. Yeah. Well,
I'm feeling pretty good about myself. I mean,
if you're feeling pretty good about yourself, by the way, when you put the http ... the : / there's a www that has to come there. Otherwise, the http is meaningless. Come on. You wanted to condense it, and you left a whole bunch of letters on there. Anyway.
I mean, look at this TikTok. I mean, I pulled the TikTok one. What do you want, man?
Does that actually work? Can you type that in?
Yeah, dude, it works.
All right, I'll try it. I'm going to try it afterwards, and I'm really glad, by the way, really glad that this exists. Because it's such a perfect concept. Like, they're all auctioneers, and I got to check that out.
It's pretty funny. Actually, I already saw a couple of clips. It's pretty funny. So.
You saying you weren't paying attention to the discussion?
I don't know. You were talking, and I zoned out. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I was off camera. It was no big deal. But,
all right.
Either way. All right, Ryan, let's wrap this thing up.
Sounds good to me. You can find us on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube Live every Wednesday, 1 p.m. And while you're there, you can drop us a comment. You can be part of the show. You should also like, comment, share, and subscribe. Do all the above. Help us out. Much appreciated. And we're going to do this every Wednesday. And, of course, afterwards, check back on Instagram and on Facebook for the bite-sized snippets. I have a feeling that there's going to be quite a few great ones from this discussion. So come on back, and we'll condense it, because that's the moral of the story, right, is we have to condense our message, this long form, 48 minutes. I don't know. It's kind of tough, but in short form,
shorten it up a
in
bit.
short form, bite-sized pieces, they're going to appreciate that a little bit more. We'll get a wider audience. So how's that? You close up. I'm going to think of my sign-off phrase. Hold on. Here we go.
I don't think it works like that.
I'm thinking. You gotta go ahead. Do what you're gonna do anyway.
No. We're gonna wait this out.
No, it's gonna be bad. You should just close it out.
All right, everybody. Listen. Thank you again. Come see us next Wednesday, 1 p.m. We're looking forward to seeing everybody. Thank you again, Bobby D and Inspire Hearts Fundraising. We'll see everyone later. Bye-bye. Ciao, ciao. Ryan, come up with something, please.
Stay golden, pony boy.
No.